guys, it's Paige. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to get on here today and do the video that I've been talking that I'm going to do for a while. My story. If you see me look away or anything, I made notes for myself of some of the stuff, I've thought of and want to make sure to include. And so it is a cold snow day, literally. I think last time I checked the weather, it said it was like with wind chill negative, I want to say 50 or 52 outside. It's pretty cold. So I have my coffee and we are going to do a little chat. So I wanted to start with my story. That was probably the whole point of even starting this vlog. Just to kind of share my story and see if I can help someone or share something about, something someone's going through and maybe I can help or something like that. So I just wanted to get on here. I had the time, so we're gonna get started. So I was contemplating like how far back I'm gonna go. It might actually turn into like a two-part video because I'm even gonna get into like relationship stuff, like boyfriend, girlfriend, like that kind of thing too, because I feel like it's I feel like it's a topic that doesn't get addressed much, but it's not an issue. It's something that people have questions on, and sometimes we're afraid to ask or afraid to get information. And I contemplated, how far back do I want to go? Like, where do I want to start? And I was like, I should maybe just start right at the beginning. So to start, I was born in November 12th of 1994. And I was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis in April of 1995. So I was about 4 months old? No. I was diagnosed in March. I apologize. I just realized, I'm like, those don't match up. I was diagnosed March of 1995 at 4 months old. So fun fact, and I think I've shared this before, but I was born on one of my aunt and uncle's anniversaries, and I was also diagnosed on that same uncle's birthday. Not kind of a good thing to share, share, but, a little reminder and kind of fun, I guess. So I was diagnosed in March, and I was diagnosed at our local clinic. So 1994 was the year for newborn screening in Wisconsin that it was mandatory for a CF test. Well, it took a long time to get back, and I'm sorry, it's like really staticky in here. It came back false positive. So what that meant was they were going to redo the test, because normally false positives come back negative anyways, or false negative, I'm sorry. And mine actually came back positive. So my doctor at my local pediatrician told my mom, okay, we're going to send you down to a new clinic. He goes, basically, I don't have enough resources here to, get what she needs. In that time frame, I have a cousin who was born in December, so we're literally almost a month apart, and she was, growing and getting bigger, and there's pictures, my grandma has them, I think, I don't have them, but there's pictures where you can tell, like, I'm getting sick, you can tell something was wrong, because she was gaining weight, and she, had good color, I was losing weight, and I was as pale as, chalk. It was, it was kind of scary, and, so we got sent down to the specialty clinic, which is actually the one that I'm going back to now. And there was a doctor there, and I talked about her a little bit in the last vlog. Basically, she told my mom and dad, you're taking her home one way or another, basically, dead or alive. And she admitted me. So, oh my goodness, the static's gonna get on my nerves. So basically, I got admitted, and from that time up until I was 3 or 4, I would be in the hospital, in the hospital 2 weeks, out 2 weeks, literally like a routine. So I'd be in, I'd be out, I'd be in, I'd be out, I'd be in, I'd be out. And that was my life for like the first 3 years. Like, that was normal. That was the normal thing. And, there was along the way, like, it was hard. I mean, my dad worked as hard as he could. My mom became a stay-at-home mom because, someone had to watch for me. And, that was my life. I was told at one time I probably wouldn't live to see, kindergarten, and then I might not live to see high school, and then I might not live to see, my 20s, and it just, statistic after statistic, obstacle after obstacle, and, it's one of those things to where at an early young age, even when you don't realize it, you become a fighter, you become a warrior, you become strong, because at some point being strong is the only thing you have. Going into school, my friends really didn't know me any different. So for me, that wasn't an issue. And I think part of that is because my parents never treated me any different. I would get grounded in the hospital. Like, I was treated like a normal, I was not treated any different. I had rules, I had all of it. And there's a time when, once I hit like 4, I started, I was okay, like things were going good, and there was a period where I didn't go in the hospital for quite a few years. Yeah, years. And, so things went good, kindergarten, friends, I was in band, I played the saxophone, like things were normal as I knew them. I don't know any different. So for me, my normal is probably totally different than someone else's normal, but for me, it's normal. And that was the early years, in the hospital 2 weeks, out 2 weeks, dodging holidays, I was getting a PICC line a few months ago when I was in the hospital back in September of last year, and one of the doctors had asked, how many PICC lines have you had? And I said, well, probably at least one a month for the first 3 years of my life. So what is that, like 36? And I said, and then probably at least 2 a year for like the last almost 10 years. So we were doing the math, and we were just kind of like going back and forth, like all these procedures I've had and all these. I apologize. I'm getting over, I got a cold and it is kicking my butt. Yeah, normal people colds and me don't sit very well. But so, I mean, it's just, when you sit back and look at it, hearing it as I say it, it's like, oh my gosh, like, look at all of that craziness. But looking back, like, it didn't seem that crazy. It was just like, it was our routine. It's what we did. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, for an outsider looking in, you're like, oh my gosh. But for me, talking about it and looking back on it, I'm like, that was normal. You know what I mean? Like, the normal is totally different. I think one of the things that kind of makes it into perspective a little bit is, when I was a freshman in high school, I became homeschooled. I did online homeschooling. I did school year round, and then I graduated early. Partially I did that because there was a big flu outbreak one year, and my doctor said, get out of school. I don't want you to get sick. And I was like, well, what am I going to do, So I just decided, in that time, like, I didn't go back. I chose to do that because I, was healthier actually. And then I started working, and from the time, I was doing the math the other day, from the time I started working at 17, 18, my lung function was around 90 to 95%. 94, 95 was like the average. And right now I'm roughly around 72, 73. So in like 7 years, I've legitimately dropped almost 20%. And part of that, I'm not saying it's because of working, but it kind of is because, I work 40 hours a week, and it takes a toll on your body. And it's something that I had to do for myself because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. But, as the older I get, when I get sick, my body can't, like, I don't want to say bounce back, but it's true. My body doesn't bounce back like it did when I was little. It was all to, like, my mom with the IVs and everything. And, I feel like this isn't making any sense, but there's so many pivotal, it's not like there's all these, like, dramatic, oh my gosh, this happened, which led to this. It's really not. Literally, the first 3.5 years of my life, I lived in a hospital. And then after that, I went to school. After that, I got a job. And from there, my health has now declined. And it's not, I need to put a disclaimer, my health is not bad. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, her health is, it's for me, it's like, for me personally, I want it better. And so that's why I'm switching doctors. That's why this year, I'm not doing like life changes, but this year, I decided for myself, I need to step back and I need to put my health first. I need to no longer worry about, what is work going to think? What are my friends going to think? What are my family going to think? What are people going to think? It's really, I need to put my health first. And then second, how can I make a difference in people? Like, how can I help someone? I'm not the only one going, in this position. I'm not the only one going through this situation, but I know there's people out there, and maybe I can help, or maybe I can say something that can make a difference in their lives. And so that's the whole point I started this channel, was for a journal for me, but to help people. And I just realized this is probably going to be a 2-part video because I don't want it to be long. But then that brings you to the next point, living your life. I'm a dreamer. When people say, I'm trying to think of that saying, don't get your hopes up. I'm the opposite. Like, get your hopes up. Like, for me, I'm one of those to where I like to prove people wrong in a good way, but I want my health to be good. I want to experience all that. I want to be able to live a life that I'm proud of, get as much out of this beautiful life that I've been given with these beautiful lungs. These lungs right here, these are my lifeline. These lungs, if I don't keep these lungs healthy, I'm not healthy. These lungs are everything to me. And these beautiful lungs and I have been blessed with such an amazing life that I want to live it. And, there's so many goals and dreams that I have that I want to hit and that I want to do, and memories and things that I want to make. And I have to be able to do that. And part of it is, putting your health first, not worrying about what other people think. That is probably like the number one thing. I don't care what my friend over here says. I don't care what this family member says. I love my family to death. But their opinions don't matter. It's not their life on the line, literally. My lungs and I, these beautiful lungs and I, we have so many scars. We've been through so much. We spent the first 3 years of our life in the hospital not knowing, are we going to live? My parents didn't know. At one point, the doctor said you could take her home. It could be dead or alive, literally. At that point, your perspective in life changes. It drastically changes. And my parents did such a good job at not labeling me. They made sure that I lived a very full life, but they also made sure that I didn't get spoiled rotten. They made sure that I grew up with morals and values, and they made sure that I grew up knowing I could do anything I wanted to as long as I put my mind to it. And this is probably a really bad rendition of my story, but this is where I'm at. This is where things are, and then that brings us, to dating. And that might go into a part 2, but that becomes a little scary. That becomes interesting. That is where someone who's an open book like me, that does make you guarded. You put your wall up. And it can be really hard. I'm not going to lie, it can be hard. But I know, and I'll get into this a little more, I know the right person's out there.